Good morning. It is Brian here. It is the Art of Startup War. As with every week, we bring on one very, very special entrepreneur building a business which is the future of an industry, which is absolutely crazy exciting. It is an entrepreneur and a company that we at Expert Dojo have invested in, and we have invested in because we believe madly that this company is going to be able to break through. This one today that we're going to talk about is crazy interesting because we're going into the metaverse. Yeah. We're going to have a look into the future where everything's going. And I'm so pleased that finally, after 30 years, I feel like the internet's like a black and white television, and I'm desperately waiting for color to come out, because how are you going to enjoy Brad Pitt and all of his buddies like jumping around the screen when you can't even see all of the great colors that you have on that screen? And that's what the metaverse is going to do. It's going to give us just this level of interaction and this level of immersion that we've been craving for such a long time. And this company that we're going to talk about, well, I remember when I first saw Anna, I saw what she was building, and I thought, wow, how can it be possible that an industry has sustained for such a long period of time by putting fashion together in a way that it has? And then this company have come in like geniuses and created this innovation which changes everything and then facilitates entry into the metaverse. So we're going to talk about Yana, and we're going to talk about Yoona, and we're going to talk about how you put it together. And we're going to explain to everybody here not just what's happening within the metaverse and what the metaverse is and where it's going, but why digital fashion is going to be the absolute, well, since that we don't need to worry about food in the metaverse, right? So that's one of the hierarchy things gone. And we don't really need to worry about shelter. Fashion and how we actually clothe ourselves and how we're seen and how we're perceived actually has moved up to the number 1 or 2 spots. So firstly, welcome to the show. Thank you for letting us invest. Thank you for letting us being such an important part of your journey and you being such an important part of ours. Share with us just your journey on Yoona. Tell us how you started it, where it came from, where the idea came from, and just how you managed to get this incredible idea off the ground.
Hi, Brian. Thanks for the invitation. It's actually evening here in the morning in your side.
I know.
Yeah.
Where are we today? Because you're in so many countries. I don't know. I'm guessing maybe Germany, but it could be anywhere. It could be France. It could be Germany. It could be China. It could be, because I've never known someone. I felt nobody could keep up with me as far as traveling around the world and doing stuff, but you make me look like an amateur.
I'm in Hamburg, actually. We are based in Berlin. I'm in Hamburg today. I was meeting the economy minister of Northern Germany,
Wow.
Schleswig-Holstein. Yes, because I wanted to know and I wanted to have his opinion about Yoona and how and who could invest, of which VC or which investor of Germany would fit to us.
And in that case, ignore my question. What do the government feel about the metaverse and what's happening and about what you're doing in there? Because not everybody's able to arrange a meeting with a minister of their country. So for that to happen, there has to be an incredible amount of intrigue.
Brian, I was pitching the Berlin metaverse already 2 years ago to the Berlin government. So, but in this time the pandemic was starting and Facebook was still Facebook. But now Facebook is called Meta, and we had all the pandemic. And I think, and now I feel that they have also the FOMO to get into the metaverse, even nobody knows how.
Yeah, very true. And how did you get in? How did you get started?
How did I get started? So I was a designer myself for 15 years. I had my own fashion label. I was working in Zalando, big fashion brand in Germany. And I was like a drawing machine. And I thought, why are we doing that? I mean, where's all the digitalization? Where are all the tools? And there was no tool. So I started.
And I think, Anna, just on that point, I think people will find it really amazing to understand. Like, folks have seen movies like the devil wears Prada. And so you'll have seen somebody like stylizing something on a storyboard and like drawing it. But I can't imagine that people believe that that's actually the standard
Yeah.
process for every dress, frock, trousers, t-shirt, like everything. There's people drawing these things out in the year 2022.
Twenty-two.
It's incredible.
Yeah, I
Like,
mean, we
and
have tools like Photoshop or Illustrator, but it's still drawing kind by hand. And you have also to imagine that companies are drawing 6,000 designs monthly. So it's like a machine. And also, I was thinking, I don't want to create more designs. We have enough. What I want to change. My first impression was I want to change the back end of this industry. We have to change it. And then I learned coding. My first program, what I was coding with a friend of mine, was to transform sports data into fashion design, because I wanted to be fashion design more personalized.
yeah,
That was very interesting, but it was not changing the industry. And then I went back to the university and founded a research group, having a look into artificial intelligence, if neural networks can replace manual processes. And out of that, Yoona was founded.
incredible. And so, and I think you dropped a subtle hint there as well, which is it's not just about creating efficiencies, and it's not just about taking a process which is extremely manual and analog and moving that process in a digital way whereby it can just be better for people who are doing it. But you're alluding to sustainability as well, right? If you want to talk a little bit about like what a huge problem, I think in general folks know that sustainability and like everybody's seen Zoolander. So they have an idea that there may be a sustainability problem, but maybe if you speak to specifically what that problem is and how you set about trying to defeat it.
First of all, designers are working driven by hope. They should work driven by data. Bestseller should be bestseller because we don't sell. Only 30% of the goods are really sold. So we have to find a system to better analyze what we are selling. First point. Second point is that designers are creating in between 4 and 6 prototypes physically. Why are we doing that? We can do it digitally. If digital products coming out, we can create it digitally. And at the end also, I said already we don't sell. And then the next thing is that we have all this overstock. There are warehouses full of overstock clothing. And now we're coming to the digital clothing. We create one item and we can sell it thousand times in the metaverse. So no overstock, nothing. So that's why I think, and we believe, and we did also an analytics, that digital clothing is 99% more sustainable, because you have 93% less CO2 emission, because you don't have to create you don't have to produce, right? And now actually it's interesting how much energy we saved. It's actually our next sustainability paper to really analyze NFTs and everything, what we are wasting. But in compare to all the water, chemicals and everything what we have and produce in our industry, so we believe digital fashion is the future.
And it's a very good point, because if we look at actually how long people spend just online in general, interacting with friends, colleagues, and people that they're dealing with, you're talking like 20, 30% on a daily basis. But the fashion that they have online is zero, right? There's
Right.
nothing that takes across like what their digital identity is. So it's very brilliant. It's like you had two battles at the same time. The first battle is, and they both seem very easy battles to win. Like because I hate disruption. I love frictionless innovation. Right, frictionless innovation is when everybody's not trying to fight you, and within just creating fashion for the physical world. There's no fashion designer who's saying, I want to be less sustainable. There's no fashion designer saying, I want to be able to design based on hope. Like there's nobody saying these things.
No.
They're just stuck in a process that they've been stuck in for
Right.
years, right? So when
Yeah.
you come out and say, we're going to give you a great process whereby you can sell more of things that people will like and you can save money on wasted, and I'm like, great. And what, we get to be sustainable at the same time? Where do I sign up? So it's such a
Mhm.
beautiful, if timing is the biggest quality that helps a unicorn
Mhm.
happen, this is the time of the world where the technology has allowed you to do what you're doing right now, and the world desperately wants it because people are so aware of these landfills and these wasted and the terrible margins that people have within fashion because of the extremely high wastage. So like that's battle one, no question. But then we move over to the other battlefield, which is we're just have been going more and more digital for the last 15, 20 years. And that's just a reality. And it's never going to reverse. And I even look at what's happening with sports. And for me, sports are the indicators to everything in the entire world. And I saw this incredible statistic about how NBA is dropping, American football viewership is dropping, soccer viewership is dropping. Like, this is inconceivable that these sports, which are staple sports for nations around the world, that the viewership is dropping. And then we look at other sports like Fortnite and
Sports.
esports. And some people
Mm.
will even say, Brian, what are you talking about? These are not sports. And I would say there's about 400 million people in the world that would beg to
Mhm.
differ. So the world
Mhm.
is moving in a way where people need an expression digitally and they
Right.
don't have it. They've nothing. And all of the brands are fumbling around, and maybe folks like Nike are doing a slightly better job at creating like a digital sneaker or something else, but
Mhm.
nobody's created a place where this can feel like home. So I love that you
And
took on
easy.
both of these battles. Tell us
Mhm.
about it.
And easy. I mean, if you have a look to these companies, they can use programs. You have to learn it for 9 months and super complicated. And actually, only 20% of all the companies know how to do digital fashion. But if you have like analysis, 80% of Gen Z, they want to have only digital fashion. They don't want to buy the real shoe. They want to buy digital fashion, and nobody can do it. So we created a tool where you can have digital fashion in 3 clicks. We are launching next week a new feature um, during the Digital Fashion Summit in Berlin. And yeah, it's just easy. You can create digital fashion without any knowledge.
Incredible. But it's easy because you built the platform. But
Yes.
I know that
Yeah,
was
of
not an
course.
easy platform. I know it was not easy to build. I know you went through hell
It's
building
still, I
this because
mean,
you're creating something the world has never had before. So talk to us about how did you do it? Like it's not you here, it's you and a huge team that you've built,
mhm.
that you've created, that you've put together, that you've paid for. You've gone out, you've raised money so you can make sure you do it as well. Talk to us a little bit about that journey and how difficult it was.
The raising? No,
All of it, the
all of it.
building, the raising,
Yeah,
because
I
because
mean,
because literally
y-
it's from zero. It didn't
it's from
exist.
zero. It
What
didn't exist,
and
yes.
and now it
Hmm.
is the leading platform in the world for being able to create digital fashion. So talk to us about like how you came from down here to up
Yes.
here.
Yeah, we founded directly with pre-seed investment from Berlin investors, and then we directly entered into Techstars. They also invested, and we launched our minimal product. That was January 2021. So, and then we directly went into the companies. We thought we cannot build it alone. Even we are 4 designers in a team, in a tech team. We know a lot, but we have to build it with the companies together. And
Mhm.
then we launched 2021, and in autumn we launched the second version, and then again testing, and then we launched now the third version. And meanwhile, also the technology was evolving all the time. Um, we won also a grant of 1 million euros in Germany to keep involving this technology, because it's a new technology. Also, it's a new combination of technologies to get this 3D animated designs done. And also we launched augmented reality virtual showroom to make it visible what digital designs can do and how they look like.
Incredible. And because, and I think that's what folks are realizing, that you have to spend millions of dollars and bring in the greatest digital development people in the world to be able to create what you created. And then so after you come out, now you're at the other side, you've built the technology, it's implemented in the market, you're bringing on really big brands, like you've come through the hell that is the wonder of it. Will it be as incredible as we want it to be? Can we raise the money to make sure that we can keep on building it? Can we get the right team to do it? Like you've broken through that. Like if we look at the hero's journey, all of the doubters, everybody who felt that you wouldn't be able to do it, and you come out the other side and you're like, I did it. Like it's
Yeah,
got
we
to
made it.
feel fantastic.
Yeah, and when I came out of this research groups, I was thinking, now I have to build a team. And then we made it. I mean, until now we had like 1.2 million euros investment, and we made it through. We are a team of 10 people. Um, Julia, Julia, who started with me, she's still on. She's the product manager. She's leading the product. So yeah, and we keep going. And but the most important thing next to it, that's you said, I'm a lot of in every country and everywhere. We are like placing and educating everybody how digital product creation can be and how important it is and how sustainable it is. And so I'm going influencing everywhere in every conference, talking about digital product creation and that Yoona is the right tool.
Right. And then so talk to us a little bit about the metaverse, because I think the digital innovation within fashion clothing is such a no-brainer. I mean, everybody's going to say, of course, we should do this. You have to be able to create digital fashions, and you have to be able to adapt it and change it and look at the data and see what's happening in the market and tie it all together like a beautiful marriage. And then the designers are going to do great. But talk to us about the metaverse as well. So as far as implementing, you've done the metaverse in Berlin. You've created a fashion show in the metaverse in Berlin. Talk to us a little bit about that, and talk to us just about the metaverse in general. How do you see it where it is right now? How do you see it evolving? And
Mhm.
is this like, it somehow feels to me, I remember I watched the Steve Jobs video recently where it was back in very early 1970s. And he was being interviewed, and Steve was saying, if you go forward, not in the not too distant future, like, and I think at that time there was 5% of all transactions happening on the internet, or 3%. I mean, it was tiny. And he was saying the vast majority of the transactions that will happen in the world will be done online. And it seemed incredulous that anybody would even would have the audacity to think that something so nascent would actually go there. I feel that the metaverse is moving in that direction, and it's the next iteration of the internet. But talk to us about how you see that journey unfolding and how you position yourselves to be the digital fashion technology that everybody uses.
Yes, I mean, we had Web 1 and Web 2, Web 3, we're entering right now. Even as I think the fashion industry needs a little guideline to get to Web 3. We are starting with Web 2. And yes, we are building the Berlin Metaverse. We merged with the biggest conference in Europe, retail conference, building with them together and bringing everybody in the Metaverse. And now it's like a philosophical discussion. What is the Metaverse? Are we now in the Metaverse? So this is the thing. Maybe Zoom will be also Metaverse, and you will wear clothes.
Touch you.
Ah.
I didn't touch you. I know it's true. Are we in the metaverse? Because it
Yeah.
feels very interactive. But isn't it just we go more and more immersive, really?
Of
Is that
course,
that's what it
of course,
becomes, right? To the
of
extent
course.
that like we're in the same room, because it's still like we're on Zoom and I'm in a box and you're in a box, and we can't really, you know, come close to each other or touch each other or do any of those things. And so within the metaverse, I could walk up to you, the digital me in the metaverse can walk up to you, and I can say, yo, Anna, and give you a hug. And I'll be like, come on, let's do this. And you're like, great, let's sit down and let's hang out and let's talk to some things. So it's a more immersive environment. And you're right. Look, what we're doing right now today, we couldn't have done 20, 30 years ago. I mean, look, I know the person who started Polycom. which was the very first, like Polycom and I think PictureTel. Well, I can't remember the other ones, two of them, but they were the very first video conferencing that ever happened. And they were huge, big TVs. And you know, he told me when they did their first pitch in Silicon Valley, the TV went on fire. Like, so that's how old that stuff was. And Zoom kind of just feels like it's moved forward, but not enough. The metaverse is a different level of immersion, right?
I would not even speak of one metaverse. Maybe Zoom is one kind of a metaverse. Even Google Earth maybe is a metaverse, or Snapchat is a metaverse, or there are different metaverses and not only one. So, but everybody, I mean, you could also wear digital clothing here, and maybe you would wear like a suit or something.
Yeah.
And everybody needs clothing. And you talked about Brad Pitt before jumping to the in the metaverse, but he cannot be naked. So everybody needs to wear clothing.
Yes, everybody needs them, and we don't speak about it as much, but it so represents everything that we represent. Like whatever we want to transmit to the world is generally transmitted by how we look. We decide to wear a beard, we decide to wear a t-shirt, we decide
Right.
to bring a suit and clothing, we decide to wear Gucci shoes, or we decide to wear Tom shoes, or we decide to wear shoes from the local thrift store. All of these say the things that are important to us and how we want that to be represented out to other people. So do you see this, if we say that the metaverse now is just right at the very beginning, that immersive Web3 is at the beginning, which is about maybe 1 or 2%, do you feel in the same way that Steve Jobs felt in the 70s, that it's going to move up to being 70,
Absolutely.
80%? Yeah.
Look at Web 2. I mean, also
It's
the social
everything.
media and everything. Now we are in Web 3. And McKinsey says the market is 5 trillion euros, and everybody will be immersed in metaverses. That will be even you go shopping or you go having party or you meet friends. Everybody 2030 will be immersed. And this is look how many people we are on the planet. Everybody needs clothing. So yeah,
And
I think
the
it's a
thing
huge,
with
huge, huge market.
And the thing with how clever it is that you're doing it, it's that Yoona's not even in your mind the important brand to have in front of people. You're almost like the Intel chip that drives all computing that happens everywhere. Like you are the digital fashion technology that drives all of these great fashion brands. Like you enable the Chanels, you enable the Yves Saint Laurent, all of these brands who desperately need to be a part of this and they don't know how. They're sitting in meetings. Like one of my really good friends here that I mentioned to you before, they are one of the largest fashion brands in the world, and they literally have never had a marketing department.
Wow.
And that was fine before, right? Because what they said was, well, if we have to tell people about us, then we would no longer be us. And that was okay for the last 100 years. But we're in a time of change. And that time of change is going to be moving from one world into being also immersed into another world as well. And they need to be engaged in that, as do all brands. How are you finding that brands are reacting to just the fact that you're trailblazing this entire industry?
Yeah, I mean, I've got a feeling that I'm in a position, at least in Germany, like the face of fashion tech. So I do a lot of education, consulting, and everything in the brands. And I notice they all want to have digital fashion because there are new revenue streams waiting for them. Right? As I said, they create one clothing, one item, and they can sell it everywhere and they see that and they want to enter. So I think that it's also marketing budget, what you are saying, what they need. Yeah, it's not only the production, but they need to enter in these new markets.
And the money
in
is
my
huge.
opinion, a brand which is not changing right now to digital fashion and not entering in this market, they will not survive.
They will not survive. And it's a very strong statement, but a very true statement. Now is the time. 2, 3, 4 years' time, when everything is fully in place and everything there, is way too late, because what will happen is new digital fashion brands will emerge. This is what we're going to see. We're going to see not the traditional brands.
Absolutely.
And actually, in some ways, now that I think about it, it's almost a war
Yeah.
of the street fashion, which would be street fashion inside Web3, and folks that have had fashion brands for years and years and years and felt incredibly safe because they were in the malls. Look, we're based here in a mall here in Santa Monica. You've been over here before. Like, you know, the folks that we have downstairs, you know, the brands, they're very typical brands that would be in most malls. But you also saw when you were here, there was nobody carrying a shopping bag.
Yeah, no.
It's changed.
Yeah, it's
People
changed.
now are looking online. So
Yeah,
I
of
think it's going
course.
to be really fantastic. So the only challenge really that you have, it's not convincing brands that this is the case, because brands know this, right? They're seeing it, they're aware of it. It's knowing who the digital brands are going to be that are going to come through when they come through, because they will come through so fast, because it will be an esports team that will have a digital brand that will come out.
Of
It
course,
would
yes.
be, you know, a group of WhatsApp, which is like 20,000 people who are all talking about street culture, that will launch a new brand. Like, they're going to come from places which are going to be far more decentralized than the places they came from before, because before, to launch a brand was an incredibly expensive and difficult thing to
Of
do.
course.
Had to come from specific families.
Yes, yes, yes. And now you can just create digital items and can build a brand.
So look, everybody listening, seriously, if you don't get it by now, you're crazy. Like, this is it. This is the moment. There's a renaissance. There's a revolution. Like, it's happened. It's happened,
It's a
actually.
revolution for our industry. And we talked about that, and actually the possibility for our industry to be the most profitable industry on the world.
Yeah. Which
Just
is not.
changing revenue streams.
Oh, and it's so exciting. Like, it's so exciting. And the ones that are slow, it's because they come from a background of knowledge of monopoly that nobody else could break in. And what they need to understand is it's change. That's no longer the case. You have to move really quickly on this to make sure that you remain a front runner and that you remain relevant going forward. What we do know is this. Look, what everybody here is seeing is that you are the picks and shovels of this new world, right? You've gone from creating what is maybe the third or fourth most important necessity that we have, which is not just clothing, but it's how our clothing looks, right? And how we represent that, to being the number one or two, like on the metaverse. I'm trying to think of something more important than fashion in the metaverse, and I actually can't. And
Cars?
maybe,
No. I don't know. I don't think so. Because if you
I
imagine
know.
in every game you're entering, in Snapchat and everything, you choose you choose hair, color, skin color, and you
Yeah.
choose your clothing.
Yeah.
Before you
Before
are not
anything.
entering.
Yeah.
Before anything. You
Before
enter,
anything.
you choose your clothing.
Yeah. So everything's going to go alongside that. So look, for everybody listening, look, we shouldn't even be discussing this anymore. It's really clear. This is happening. It's here. There are hardly any players that have the technological ability in this space. I don't think there are any players actually that have this level of technological capability in this space. There definitely is none that have the experience and the technological capability. And there's definitely none that are as vocal and as visual and have as strong a personal brand as Yoona does. Now, so for everybody here, now we want to talk about the important stuff. So let's look at investment going forward, and let's look at how we drive revenue going forward and what you can be in the future.
Yes, first we start what we can be in the future. We will be the digital tool which everybody's using, which is implemented in every game, even in Zoom, that you can create in Zoom your own digital fashion. And revenue streams you see now, gaming, esports, Zoom, social media, everywhere. Also, of course, fashion trends, they are still there. Third-party platforms like virtual try-ons, different metaverses. Every metaverse needs fashion. So that is the revenue stream we are working on. And of course, we need funding, and we're raising right now. And yeah.
So, Yoona, you heard it here. This is incredibly important. Everybody in early stage investment is looking to come into frontier technologies that are taking on new innovations in a world that is guaranteed to come. This is that world. You've already raised a ton of money. You've got a bunch of great investors out there who have already trusted you with everything that you've done so far. You've executed not at the level people asked, you've executed higher than the level that people asked. I know you go 18 hours a day to make sure that the education that's required to make sure that people understand this quicker is actually spread all around the world.
Yes.
So what do you need to raise, and where's that going to take us to? What's your belief? And everybody here knows that this is what we're attempting to do. Nothing is ever guaranteed. But if we're looking at a Series A, I got to believe your Series A is next year.
Yes, our CSOL will be next year. And at the end of next year, we are raising 2.5 million. 60% are going into technology because we have to keep developing, also to implement it in different metaverses or third-party platforms we have to develop. And it's also going into marketing because we have to grab the land now and place us as that digital fashion tool in the world. And it's going into sales. And we had, since July, we had like 46 LOIs. So we keep going. We want to scale. We want to bring this platform to everybody on the world.
And we haven't even talked about sports franchises that are also realizing. I literally had 3 conversations yesterday about not even just esports, but physical sports teams, NFL teams, NBA teams, who are all building their own levels of metaverses, who are all building NFTs into those, and who are all going to want to have their players represented in those metaverses as well. And all of those players are going to need to be clothed. So the market's huge. You have
avatar systems. Every avatar systems needs a digital fashion tool to create fashion for the avatars.
Yeah, it's actually scary. It's so endless. And that's the only, like, literally, I see no challenges for you other than the fact that there are so many opportunities in so many different markets that it's about making sure that you stick with the markets at the beginning. But as it goes further, you're going to be as wide as McAfee antivirus being in every single computer in the world, because everybody's going to need this to be able to power looking amazing when they're online. Okay, so great. So we know you're going for your Series A next year. We know you're one of the leading companies in the Web3 space. We know you're an entrepreneur and have a team who only do one thing, and that is execute every single thing that you intended to do. We know you come from a nation which, seriously, like Germany, does it ever not have an increase every single year while other countries go up and down and up and down? It's like Germany is efficient and it competes and it executes year after year. We know that we have an industry which is absolutely exploding right now and is going to get bigger and bigger and bigger no matter what happens out there. And we know that you've raised a ton of money from really smart investors who've already put money into you. And there is one more opportunity to be able to invest in this round before it goes off. That you're not going to be, most investors, unless it's a large VC listening to this, are not going to be able to invest at the Series A stage. It is going to be way beyond a valuation that you can even get close to at this stage. This is literally the only chance that you can get in here. So I want to leave the last words with you. I'm obviously really happy. I love that we're involved in you because you're awesome and you're the future of everything. So I'm like the cat that got the cream. But I want to leave the last words with you. Everybody knows how I feel about you and about what you're building. Share with everybody your email address, please, and share with everybody just last words. You're speaking to investors, nobody else, about the future that they are investing in.
Okay, my email address is annafranziska.michel@Yoona.Ai. Maybe we should write it somewhere because it's German.
Mm-hmm. Or they can also do brian@expertdojo.com, and I will make sure that I loop in Anna, make it nice and easy. Yeah.
Yeah, this is super. And yeah, this is a huge market. Everybody will wear digital fashion. So 5 trillion euros, everybody in the world will wear it. You have the opportunity to build this with us.
That's it. Nothing else.
That's it.
It's
nothing
just
else.
That simple. Thank you, Anna. You're awesome. I love working with you. You're just a beast. And let's build this unicorn.
Yeah, let's build this unicorn.
And clothe it. Actually, no. Let's build and clothe this unicorn.
Yeah, that's true.
Even unicorns deserve some bloody decent clothes for cut out.
Okay. That's true.
You're the best.